Hello and welcome to Xena Warrior Podcast, the Minisodes. My name is Vera and I'm joined, as always, by my two gunslinging co-hosts, Katie.
Hello.
And Livy.
Hi.
Are we going to meet at the OK Corral?
I hope not.
Because it's not a good corral, it's just okay.
There's so many better corrals.
3 stars on Yelp.
That's a pretty good rating for okay.
That is the okay rating, I think.
Isn't that like 2.5?
No,
Three's
that's
like
I
good.
wouldn't. No, that's
4 is
bad.
like excellent.
2.5 is like I don't want to the meh corral.
I guess, yeah. If you're talking about food.
Yeah, you
like
are.
a hotel.
I bet the food there was really bad.
Then what's good?
Like 4.
Oh, there's no higher than good.
Excellent. Maybe 5.
Oh, okay.
Well, 4 with a lot of ratings.
Okay.
Wow.
That was a tangent.
Insane. So, we're back in your ears, and we're going to be talking about, I believe, something you guys are going to be interested in.
We suspect
some interest in this one. It's a little show called Wynonna Earp. And it is a little show.
It is, yeah. The
Quite
definition of little show.
And this was requested?
By one of our patrons, Anna. Anna writes, if y'all have watched it, it would be awesome to hear your take on Wynonna Earp and its similarities to Xena. The show is very aware of it and has made some direct references to Xena in its latest season. I recruited a friend into watching it by telling her it was like, quote unquote, Xena meets Buffy with a hint of Western and its own unique flavor that is kind of indescribable, but so good. She watched it and was immediately hooked. I tend to think of that a lot when watching and think it would be fun to hear someone else's comparisons and thoughts.
I think that flavor is Canada. Poutine, but a show.
A little bit of, cheese curds, a little bit of politeness, maybe some maple.
It's just a very specific Canada show when you look at it. So, yeah, we'll probably elaborate on that. It's a really good description. I mean, I would say for sure that's how you would describe it. Mm-hmm. It's definitely
indescribable, little Canadian.
No, absolutely not. I would describe this show for sure as Buffy with some Xena.
I think it's
Canadian.
The most kind of indebted to Buffy show I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that is an angel.
Yes.
A direct spin-off of Buffy. Yeah, I mean, this is a show that Buffy did it first for that show. But, on the other hand, the show is doing exactly what you want, which is it's an homage, but it's its own thing.
Yeah,
but that homage is, in its bones.
So what is it?
Yeah, what is it?
Is, for anybody who hasn't seen it, which I'm sure there are people who have not, it is a very tiny show, and really, nobody watched it.
No.
But it has a very, very passionate fan base.
Yeah.
I think the only people watching it by the end were its fan base.
Yeah.
Were numerous. Could keep a show on the air.
Oh, and we'll talk about that,
Yeah.
It was based on a comic, but I feel like we don't even really need to talk about that much because it's just so loosely based on it.
I was reading about the comic for this podcast because I had only vaguely realized it existed prior to this and was like, wow.
What do you mean? Wait, literally? Hold on. Every single title credit is based on the comic book.
I knew there was one, but I was like, I don't really know what this is or when it ran or what it was like.
Yeah, it was
so
crazy.
actually reading about it and being like, oh, wow, this just has absolutely nothing to do with the show. Okay.
Well, it has Wynonna.
Yeah.
But then it has
Wynonna.
crazy shit.
Yeah.
Right.
And then later they what's the word? Reran it,
Yeah,
but tying it into the show.
And I saw that Melanie Scrofano and
Tim.
Yeah, Tim Rozan.
He was all over that.
He loved writing his own comic.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I thought that was cute. But my sense is it has very little to do with the show. It first started in the 90s, which I was like, wow.
It reminds me of Tank Girl. as the comic book.
Okay.
Yeah, that seems like the
Yeah.
kind of what the fuck. It's a weird Western, which is not a genre I realized existed.
Weird Western.
Yes.
But that seems correct.
That's a good, this
Weird
is a weird
Western.
Western. And then Emily Andros comes along and is like, I'm going to make a show out of this.
What's Emily's deal?
She's Canadian. Is she though? I don't know.
She is.
Okay.
Though I think born in the U.S.
Okay, so
but
she's American.
raised Canadian.
Canadian in her heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had previously worked on Lost Girl, which is another show that we know our listeners enjoy. We have not seen it.
I've seen some of it.
Oh, you have seen some.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
is it?
I've seen some of it.
Okay.
It wasn't for me. But I really didn't like the sort of like main guy who's in it. He's like a vampire or something. No, not vampire. Werewolf, maybe? I'm so bad right now. I'm sorry. But he looked like Chris Martin, and it drove me crazy.
Ooh, that's
Okay.
that's an association. Either you're good with that or you're not. Yeah.
Yeah, but some definite prominent characters from Lost Girl appeared in Wynonna Earp, and I thought that was cute.
Emily Andros is also very active on Twitter and has a great relationship with the fandom, which
I mean,
love
yeah.
to see it.
Her presence on Twitter was definitely, I don't know, one of the most unique kind of things from a showrunner, because it wasn't like an antagonistic, like, you're being, we the fans are attacking you because you're not giving us our relationship, that we want, and you suck, and da-da-da. Number one, she was really funny, and number two, like, I don't know, she basically spoke fan, and that's kind of
Absolutely.
what everybody liked.
She is fluent in fan.
And she became sort of like one of the stars of the show herself, in the sense that she would always like appear on panels and stuff together. And it wasn't like kind of like I'm a boring person sitting here who like runs the
so
show.
many people are.
Well, like,
What?
some creators are there just to be like, okay, and you give them the respect because they give you that show that you like, but like, I don't know, she just like acted.
Not as engaging.
Yeah, she was like
Very engaging.
extremely engaging.
Which kind of makes sense because the way her characters speak, they're just all so unique and wackadoodle. So to see her and kind of hear she has that voice too, which is not a surprise. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I followed some creators on Twitter before, and it's like nobody has that sort of the same engagement, and it's fun. It was like really fun to follow her. So good for her. And she really likes Buffy. So
She pitched the show as two different things. I read in two different ways. One was Frozen meets Buffy.
Whoa, I like that.
Frozen.
Because the
And
sisters.
Do you know
other-
which? Oh, okay.
Yeah. The other was Buffy meets Justified. which
That
is
one.
That's a really funny smoosh. Justified,
So,
Buffy,
And
Frozen.
I see it.
Yeah, I think it works.
Yes, I don't see the Frozen mainly. Well, no, I was gonna say I don't see the Frozen when you think about like
Themes,
the desert that it's supposed to be in, but it's filmed
Always
in Canada and it's
frozen.
frozen there all the time, so it works.
It's not about the snow part. Oy.
It's about the sister part.
Yes.
Okay, so we talked about how it's based on a comic book. So the show itself, quick run through of
Yes.
what everyone's watching.
Quick, because the plots on this show are, what is the best word for them? Bananas? Bananas.
Yeah, well,
I couldn't
yes.
summarize it all for you if you paid me $1 million. It's always fun to watch, but like as the seasons progressed, I like more and more just did not know what was going on
Yeah.
like at any given point, but was just always having a good time
Yeah,
regardless.
yeah.
But yeah, basic plot for those not in the know.
All right, if I start talking about this, summary of Wynonna Earp, I'm worried that it's going to be like trying to explain a season of Buffy to someone because there's so much, and you're like, oh, but you need to know this, and it sounds crazy. So, Wyatt Earp was a guy.
Oh no, we're gonna go all the way back to just Wyatt Earp.
Yeah, because that sets
Okay.
it up. So Wyatt Earp, you know him, Tombstone, the pizza. So he killed some dudes, and he has a friend, Doc Holliday. He has a mustache. We'll get to him. He killed a bunch of guys, 77 guys. Those guys, via a curse, come back now, and then every one of his descendants is cursed to have to re-kill them, basically.
With the magic gun.
Which, yeah, I mean, back in the day, it used to be a sword, because also this town where they live on, a.k.a. the Hellmouth, a.k.a. Purgatory, a.k.a. Ghost River Triangle,
Yes.
Is also the Garden of Eden.
Oh, don't go that far. Don't worry about that.
Okay, all right. Anyway, so descendants of Wyatt Earp have to, like, the heir, the chosen one, usually the oldest one.
Right.
When they turn 27, they become the heir, and they have to have this gun, and they have to kill these revenants, and it's like a cycle over and over, and it's annoying. And so our main hero, Wynonna Earp, turns 27. Oh my God, she's now back in purgatory, and has to be the chosen one.
Yeah.
She's very troubled.
She's called back by her uncle in a letter from Athens, which is bananas to me.
Greece?
Athens, Greece.
Oh.
Yes,
I don't remember that.
She was living
detail.
in Greece.
Wow.
I was like,
She should be living
girl,
on, like,
why did you
Mykonos
come
or
back
something.
at all?
Yeah.
It's a funny connection to Xena.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's one. Yeah, your 27th birthday, you got Peacemaker. They all come back, the Revenants. You gotta kill them. They keep coming back. It's a curse over and over again. It just keeps happening.
Annoying.
And that's a big feature for the first, 2 or 3 seasons, the Earp curse.
Kind of swings around in season 4 as
and
well.
then they break the curse, spoilers eventually, and then it becomes about, bigger things.
Well, it becomes the Clantons, a.k.a. the OK
That's okay.
Corral.
We don't need any of that stuff.
Vera's very obsessed with the OK Corral.
Because, you know what? My favorite part of this is the history.
Right.
Connecting it to Wyatt Earp.
Yeah. So that's the main thing is it's girl, gotta kill demons, curse, comes back to town, and the main kind of relationship in the show is the one between her and her sister Waverly.
Younger sister.
Yes, her younger sister Waverly, which is kind of the biggest, I think, driving force of everything. It's kind of everybody protecting each other, la-di-da. And then it becomes a bigger found family situation, and you get your Scooby Gang that grows bigger throughout the run of the show.
And Wynonna herself has an insane past, which is the fact that she technically accidentally killed her father, who was the heir at the time.
Right.
That sucks. And her older sister Willa is kidnapped by some revenants. That's why she's troubled and living in Athens.
Right. Yeah. Well, and nobody believed her about the demons and whatnot and things like that.
It's juicy. It's a juicy setup. Yeah.
Yeah. The first episode, the pilot, if you watch it, it has all of that in flashback, and they're very intense, dramatic flashies. And after having watched all of the show and just finishing season 4, I was very nostalgic for season 1 because even though it's very hard to explain, many shows like Xena, like Buffy, and all these genre things that we watch, season 1 was fairly straightforward compared to where it goes later on. So I got very nostalgic kind of for the early goings on and the early setup of everything and just just killing the demons.
It was simpler then. It was simpler then. But it's actually really, it's kind of unusual to think of a show and be nostalgic for season 1 of it, because usually season 1 is really bad compared to the rest of the show, and not this case.
Interesting. Yeah, it just kind of, as it goes on, it just gets more and more complex, I think.
Yeah, but also there was coziness of the perfect plot, which was just these revenants are there and they have their vendetta against the heir and she has to kill them.
Yeah.
And
that was the juicy stuff was the family stuff, which not that it goes away ever, because it's always still Waverly, it is always found family stuff, but it was just really intense. I mean, I think that's some of the stuff with we'll keep calling her the chosen one maybe, which is the Buffy comparison, but Wynonna has some Xena in her.
For sure.
You know, she's much more of a fuck up than Buffy, and Xena's a big fuck up. I think that's like one thing they have going for them. And like, you know, very traumatic past.
Yeah. Xena doesn't hit the sauce quite as much.
No. No, she doesn't.
But she could easily. She also has like an insane past.
I love this show's whole like whiskey and donuts thing. I feel like that was established really early on in the fandom.
Yeah, that was like when we, like the first Wynonna Earp panel, you know, that we went to back in the day in Dragon Con, which was like, I don't even think they had any celebrities there, right? It was just like fans.
I think so,
and they gave out donuts. They did not give out
well, it was
whiskey.
a fan panel. That's different.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Well, I think they didn't have anybody from the show there. It's not big enough.
People who want a podcast for Wynonna, I think it was the people who run Tales from the Black Badge, or
That
Tales of the Black
correct.
Badge. Ooh, podcast. Sorry if I got that wrong. But I feel like that's a bigger one, so if you're looking for one, I think that's a good one.
It's probably a lot.
They sound like, I've listened to it a little bit, they sound like they're on NPR. It's very like professional, not like this at all.
Unlike this, where we've gotten comments where the laughing was disturbing for our ears.
Sorry, I'm having a good time. Sorry. But yeah, I think that, like, we could get so lost in the weeds talking about the plot, but, like, the strong suit of the show is really, like, the cast and the interpersonal relationships between the characters, which is what I think everybody is kind of watching all of this stuff for.
The cast is really great. Like, that's one thing that, you know, some shows struggle because, well, I don't know. I mean, obviously it's different for everyone who watches anything, but... You know, sometimes you're like, okay, and this person's here, and I don't like them, but they're cast in this show, and I have to deal with it.
The story of Vera's life, I think.
Yeah. But there are, you know, the people on this show are really, really good. Especially, of course, Melanie. I mean, she's, like, fantastic.
Who plays Wynonna?
Yeah, she's like, I feel it's one of those things too where, you know, I don't know, Emily Andros might have had like a conception of the character and she, you know, maybe wrote the pilot a certain way, but then once the, you know, the actor kind of embodies it, then everything becomes like written for that performance. And that performance is amazing. And I think it's like a little bit of her, just how she is, because...
I mean, that's true. Like, that's true of everything, I think. Once you start to get to know who people are, it just, like, comes through.
She's just awesome. That's what it is. Because everything she, like, says is hilarious.
Yeah, she has this incredible zany delivery.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I actually think the show is a little less successful when those kinds of lines are given to other people. Like, they can't pull it off the way Melanie can.
Some people struggle. Some people don't. For instance, my fave, Nedley, so good.
Yeah.
Nedley is fantastic.
He has wonderful comic timing. Yeah.
But yeah, and that's a whole another, like, through line between bringing up Xena and Buffy. Obviously, Xena is more in the, like, camp end, and Buffy is also campy, but the genesis of the one-liners and the oh gosh, I'm going to bring up his name again. The Whedon-esque speech and all that is definitely constant on Wynonna Earp. And I think one of my things with, like, as you go through this show is that it gets a little bogged down in it sometimes, where it's just like one right after another, and it's like, it's too much.
And, some of the stuff they say also sometimes does not make sense.
Right. But, like, when they are funny, when they hit, they really hit.
Yeah.
And they're really good.
Really hit.
So yeah, I think, like, it got more self-conscious, or not self-conscious is the wrong word, like, conscious
self-aware
of itself as it went on and it became much more, like, geared towards the people who were watching it. But anyway, that's, like, another thing. I think, like, it's definitely, like, the most contemporary show that we have that is the, like, campy successor to the Xenas and the Buffys of the world. Just in terms of its tone, and sort of it deals with these, like, kind of intense topics and things sometimes, but it's just really irreverent and ridiculous, and it knows it is. I think it was Mo Ryan, a critic who I've brought up before, that called it, like, B-TV. Like, it knows it's like a B movie. Like, and you have to embrace that aesthetic and the, like, lower budge and the Canada-ness.
Yeah.
And that's all part of it. Because, like,
weird costumes.
It's a show about
The monsters.
underdogs.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's a show about outcasts and underdogs. And, like, the show itself, like, kind of, like, embraces that. Yes.
It's not quite prestige TV.
No, it's not.
Getting an Emmy.
No, but, like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah, and it's not trying to be,
No,
which
it's
I think
not.
is refreshing because most TV is trying.
Yeah. And it's like, don't, just be yourself. So you have your main cast, which is like Wynonna, Waverly, Nicole, Doc, and Dolls, who's there from the beginning.
And Nedley.
What?
Nedley.
Nedley's not
He's a
there.
side character.
He's a side character that makes it all
I think
the
that's
way
like the
to the
main. It's like that's like the main cast.
Yeah, you have
Yeah.
people who kind of come in and out, joining the Scooby Gang, kind of like Buffy. You know?
Yeah, and they're all really great. Like, I think dynamics-wise, from the start, you have everything kind of set up for you from the beginning. And it's a show like, what other shows do this? Farscape, maybe, where your big ships that last throughout the whole show start in like episode 1 and 2, and then that's it the whole
Locked in.
the whole time. But anyway, this is just my way of getting to like the gay stuff. Because I think that's like the biggest thing in the through line from Xena to Buffy to here in terms of queer representation on the show is that you have like arguably the biggest, no, not arguably, the biggest ship on the show, which is between Waverly and the town eventually sheriff.
Yeah, she's like a deputy.
Nicole Hott, lovingly known by fandom as WayHaught. That is really like big in terms of not only just the fandom, but like a conversation within all of the kind of representation that was going on in the last like 5 years, and kind of like directly talking to a lot of the problems that we've been having. So you have Xena, where, you know, we've talked about this at length. Like, we know it's canon. Oh my God, it's canon. But again, we all know the issues with like subtext and things like that. And then you get into Buffy, which is what, you know, we grew up with to age ourselves. But one of the first queer relationships that I saw, at least on TV, between two women. And that one walked directly into like the biggest bury your gays trope in the universe. But I did love that ship, and like I did like a lot of the drama that like resulted from it. But like there's a lot of this is not the topic for today. But you all know what I'm trying to get at, which is that by the time we get to WayHaught, we are kind of in the latter half of the 2010s. What are those called?
Yeah.
The
what is
10s.
it?
Teens.
The teens.
I don't know if anyone calls them that.
And TV is having like an issue. It has happened like a real issue with representation. Because we're at a place where like you are seeing a lot of canon ships on TV, and they're just all ending very badly. And the biggest offender, of course, being like Clexa and the 100 and things like that. So for Wynonna Earp to be in conversation with all of these shows, it's a big deal, like what they've done, I think, because like basically from season 1 and from the word go, they've been they like are in conversation, like you're saying about Emily Artis earlier, with the fandom, and a lot of
I was thinking about. I'm sorry, I was
like,
thinking about her versus like what's his face, Rothenberg.
Rothenberg,
Who did 100 and that like that
relationship
versus like
so
this
antagonistic.
relationship.
Yeah.
But I think like there's also like you can kind of look at the people who made Xena too. Like we're really kind of active and conversing with fans and kind of knew what people wanted and things like that up to a degree. But this ship specifically, I think, resonated with so many people because by the end of season 1, there's this, you know, they basically are flirting with each other by episode 2. And by the end of season 1, you have them much more established as a couple. And there's that whole scene, do you guys remember, where someone shoots Nicole?
Yeah.
And it's like a commercial break. And then it comes back. The show comes back, and it's like, oh, she's wearing a bulletproof vest. And it's sort
by
of,
someone, do you mean Wynonna Earp?
Oh yeah, yes.
My favorite character.
Dude, I'm trying not to get lost in the weeds of the plot.
Respect.
I'm trying not to get lost in the weeds. We could get so lost. There's such tall weeds. That like I thought like that. I remember that. Like I think that was really. Like, yeah. I mean, not that it's funny, but it is kind of funny. It's like an actual, like, we know this exists, and, like, look what we just did, and we got your back. We're not going to do anything bad.
The ending of Get Out, where you have the police show up, and you're like, oh no. And it's kind of that wink of, like, we know what you're afraid of, and we're not going to go there. I feel like that was Emily kind of giving that to her queer fans with the bulletproof
you know what's really funny?
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that because I was like, well, she's a character in the show. They're not going to kill her off.
I was like, because that wasn't the original ending of Get Out.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know what you were saying for a second. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
The actual ending.
The actual ending
in the
of
movie.
Get Out. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So like the fandom of Wynonna Earp reminds me like very intensely of Xena fandom. In that way, because it's just very, very gay at this point, and like very into their ships.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just I'm not part of the fandom, so like I can't really speak from like a inside the fandom perspective. I'm sure there are lots of problems and things
you mean,
like
fighting?
that. Fighting,
and
Sure.
all of the problems that are inherent in any fandom. But yeah, I think that it's really cool that this like very passionate fan base kind of built up around this relationship that this show has like basically front and center. It's like it's the biggest ship on the show except for Wynonna and Doc.
Yeah. Well, I just feel like directly, like, the people who suffered from Clexa and, like, were so hurt by that, like...
Which is around the same time, right? 2017, 2018?
God,
Yeah.
time.
Time.
But they, this is where they found their, the salve for the wounds is here. And, they definitely were not hurt by anything here. This was, like, a cupcake to eat.
Yeah, I mean, like, stuff happens to them, but they're never, like, in danger. Like, and a lot of their plots are kind of more based on, like, trust issues and, like, things like that. And the show gets more and more able to... I don't know if it was just, like, early on... the network or anything was different, but by season 4, maybe season 4 is their give no fuck season, and it got very like even explicit with them for a basic cable, which was pretty wild and fun to see.
Yeah, that season 4 really reminded me of Xena because we talked about how season 6 of Xena was like the give no fuck season because it was like last season. I mean, same here. So like I would say every show is a little bit like trying to get new fan base every year to build, on what they have. And I think by season 4, after everything that Wynonna, the show, went through,
oh gosh,
they were like, okay, this is the last one. We literally give no fucks. Let's throw WayHaught like everywhere, like nonstop having sex everywhere, including an insane like I've never seen a sex scene like that, like not on premium or like cable or whatever. My Cinemax subscription. No, I don't have one. No, but I mean like it was like this is on Syfy.
Yeah,
I
mean regular cable has gotten like way more.
I know. I was like blushing.
Bitter.
But I guess
really
particularly
cool.
in a genre show, is especially one that shares so much DNA with the relatively non-graphic Buffy and certainly completely G-rated.
But even
that's what I was saying. I was like, Xena's not G-rated.
Yeah,
but sometimes
they had butts, and this is like the late 90s.
Well, in season 6, they had butts.
Yeah,
give no fucks.
Yeah,
season.
But Xena isn't really full of graphic sex.
Well, it's on NBC. It's also on regular television in the 90s. Not even on cable.
Yeah. But I mean,
Neither
like,
was Buffy, obviously.
but even comparing Wynonna to itself, like in anything
Oh,
previously,
absolutely.
people like these characters are fucking everywhere all the time, but like
Yeah.
not in a big like. I mean, that was what you call a love scene.
Vera,
know?
you were speculating that they had a sex addiction.
I
you,
did.
you were worried about
It
them.
was. I mean, guys, it was like nonstop. Like it was kind of like that episode with Bunny Loblaw where she was like, no, stop. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Well, I
everywhere.
like when things are, serve a narrative purpose. Like the big, uncomfortable seeming stairs thing. You understand because Nicole hadn't seen her in like 18 months and whatever and stuff. But like also like just so many people live on the homestead and they just be like
Right.
on the kitchen floor.
Everywhere, all the time.
Not considerate.
Yeah, I mean,
The
it's a
teenage
lot.
girl they live with.
Yeah.
Walked in on them
Because they were very much in the open.
They were in
where
the
people
on
walk.
the kitchen floor. Yeah, but anyway, they love each other. It's sweet.
So
It is nice. Like you all are familiar listeners with us at this point, so I feel like you'll shock no one for me to say that my personal favorite ship on the show is actually Wynonna and Doc, because they are a mess. They are a mess disaster. They are bad news. Love it.
I mean, I ship it too.
We love our conflict.
See, but I ship it because Doc Holliday has been in love with Wyatt Earp, even though he found out he was an asshole in season 4. But still, I love that he's now banging his great-granddaughter.
Yeah.
That has to happen. It's like
Yeah.
destiny.
And his intro, I don't know if you remember, very Buffy.
Oh my
He
God.
was very much like, hi, I'm Angel. No, my name's Doc Holliday. And so that's why I didn't really like when they turned him into a vampire, because I was like,
It
oh,
was
really? You're
a little
going to
too
go?
on the nose.
I think they were
Yeah.
trying to switch him from Angel to be Spike.
That's
And
how I
like that.
interpreted it, too.
I like that more because I
That's
don't like
fair.
Angel.
That's fair. But it's just very, like, mysterious guy. What's his deal? Like, yeah.
I love him.
You kind of brought up quickly all the stuff that like happened with the show.
Yeah.
Which reminded me of passionate fan bases again, because it's always the little show that could really, and it has had so many issues just in terms of production. It's one of those things where it's like small shows, you never know if they're going to get renewed. It did get renewed, seasons 1, 2, 3, nice. And then the production companies behind it kind of ran out of money in season 3. And so it was not on the air for over 2 years. Because they started production season 4 and then they had to stop, or they started writing season 4, and figure out like all the finances. So then meanwhile, the fan base like kind of, I think it's some of like the biggest Save Our Show campaigns you kind of ever seen. Like they got billboards in Times Square and like so many like hashtag campaigns and things like that, and kind of kept everything going. And I think that there's like a bajillion different fan-run cons too.
Yeah.
A la Xena also has. And so eventually it got back up and running, and then they started filming season 4 in, I will say, it was January of the year 2020. So they stopped production a couple months later. But they also then were like one of the first shows to go back into production, if not like the first show in North America.
Oh, wow.
It might have been if very close to being, if it wasn't the first, to go back into production. So yeah, the gap between season 3 and 4 was like 2.5 years.
Wow.
Or like 2 years. Yeah.
Well, not to mention the season 2, they're all back, ready to go, and Melanie's like, I'm pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
yeah, another Xena moment for our our hero. Yeah. But also it goes to show you like two different shows who are like very good and support. Well, of course, like Xena has to be, but good and supportive of like your lead getting pregnant while you're filming. And they work that into the plot in a really interesting way. of course, with my ship. So fun, exciting.
But yeah, they've had to deal with
so
basically
much.
every production obstacle you could have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we talk about the big moment that almost happened?
Sure.
I don't
What?
know how far into almost it happened,
Yeah,
but
hard
for
to
a
say.
while, all our hearts were fluttering.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this was like, yes, go.
So, I mean, all right, at a certain point, Emily was like, all right, my fan base is definitely made out of people who love Xena. AKA all the queer people who watch my show. So let me try to get something happening here via the old Twitter. And suddenly you saw her talking to Lucy Lawless and trying to get her on the show. And you're like, oh my God, this is happening. Because, whatever, Lucy was sort of available at the time. We were trying to figure out her schedule and
I think
everything.
everybody was.
We were like, oh my God. And then, the last I remember seeing of it was that, Emily was like, let's go into the DMs. And,
Yeah, well, it was
yeah.
like a really funny Twitter exchange back and forth that involved Emily Andras, Lucy Lawless, Melanie Scrofano, and William Shatner.
Oh, God, I didn't remember that.
Who's always there. Fucking something up or doing something on the tweets to your
Inserting
fandom.
himself.
I don't know why, but there he is.
Catch him on My Life is Murder soon.
Next season on My Life is Murder. No, he's whatever. But yeah, so they were trying to get her to play Mama Earp.
Yeah, which is
and it kind of started
quite
as like a
awesome.
little bit of a joke, and I
Yeah.
think Lucy initially thought it was like the fans.
Mm-hmm.
So she thought it was like the fan base being like, "Oh, that's sweet," and like kind of got a little involved. And then Shatner came in and was like, basically like, "No, Lucy, this is the showrunner. The showrunner wants you. Say hi to
Yeah,
Emily
Emily.
Andrus's Twitter handle." And then they had this whole exchange. But like, I think the funniest part was just Emily and Mel like going back and forth with like these gifts, just being like, "Be cool, don't be stupid, just stay calm, don't be stupid." Like,
Yeah.
it was really funny. I think at the time I was like, she's not flying to Toronto in the dead of winter to film this show.
I said immediately, I was like, they can't afford her. Like, with this budget, they
Honestly,
can't afford her.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was like, oh, maybe she'll, throw up, take a pay cut for, all the fans.
No.
She's like, no.
I don't know what happened there.
They're like, we'll hire
No.
the lady from Rain.
That's speculation, and who was great, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, she was great.
That's just speculation. We're just being silly. I have no idea what actually
Yeah, we don't know.
happened, or if they
Schedule,
even actually
quote, unquote. I
did
don't know.
contact her outside of that exchange. No,
I think they
clue.
probably did. It's easy
They
to go into
prob-
DMs
yeah,
if
they
you're,
probably-
legitimate people.
Well, if she's answering their DMs, but at that point, they could probably contact her agent.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I think there was an
alas,
attempt. A real
there was an
attempt happened.
And there was an attempt.
We almost had it. We
Almost
almost had it all,
And it
literally.
it would have been really cool, just because, who do you want on your
Yeah.
little gay show but Lucy Lawless? you know?
Exactly.
Who else
OG.
would be the mother of
Yeah.
Wynonna and
Yeah.
Waverly?
She would've been
Exactly.
amazing.
And
Yeah.
literally, as Xena is the mother of all of these shows in terms of
it
stuff.
would have been nice to literalize that.
Yeah, but okay. It didn't happen. But it was still fun. You can find those tweets still. If you just Google, the articles will come up that kind of have them all
Yeah.
documented. But that's what reminded me that Shatner was there, because I blocked that out. I blocked that out probably because of just my issues with him ruining Outlander fandom. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Outlander, where they have a lot of sex there, but
They
I
do.
think still Waverly and
They have more.
They have way more sex.
Than Jamie and Claire.
Yes.
But that's great, because Jamie and Claire, Outlander-wise, is one of the most heterosexual romance
Oh,
things
yeah.
you could put in your eyes.
For
or
your
read.
heterosexual mom to enjoy.
Yeah. Well, I love it.
So
Personally.
does your mom.
Yep. But it's great to have a show where we're comparing two women to that. Obviously, I
Well,
also
yeah.
I do want to point out the show, we like maybe make fun of like the plots and stuff because they're crazy and out of control. It should also be said, that it does have like issues. Like the burden of representation on this show is high. It's a small little show being produced in Canada by a small amount of people, and they try to be, I think. They try to be diverse, but they obviously run into many problems.
Yeah.
And, most of the main cast is white. Waverly and Nicole are white and very feminine, and they're fine, and they're the only ones who are fine, while many of the POC characters do not make it through the show, nor do POC queer characters. So that must be said that that could be better, but there's the burden of representation on things is so huge. But yeah, there are problems with it. It's not perfect. Nothing is perfect.
No, and I thought that even the season that gives no fuck, season 4. I mean, this is not about representation, but I mean, I guess in a way it is. Where it was like too overt with the. Here's some dialogue that the fans would enjoy. Like, it wasn't natural at times, I would say. Like, what was that one line of Wynonna? Wynonna was all like, oh, watching Carol or whatever. And I was like, I don't know if Carol's Wynonna's favorite movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it was also just a metaphor that made no sense.
Yeah, it didn't make sense. There were just like multiple instances in season 4 where I was like, this is not natural for the characters.
I use the P word?
This was, you mean pizza? No,
pizza?
Pandering?
Pandering.
Yeah,
a little pandering.
It was a little bit too much with that.
When she tries to distract some baddies by pointing over their heads and says, Xena reboot.
Yeah.
A nun. A bunch of nuns. Was that Wynonna or was that Rosita?
I think Wynonna said it.
I would not say that.
I don't know. Oh, yeah, she wouldn't. But, like, that's the thing.
Would Wynonna?
Well, she wouldn't.
Like, anybody could say anything.
Okay,
Show. Okay, so like Doc will say stuff, and I was like, "You're in a well for 100 years."
How the fuck do you know culture, like pop culture?
I mean, he learned, but over the
yes,
but I don't know how much.
But not so much, But yeah,
justice for Rosita, and she came back, and then stayed with the nuns. What was that about?
Yeah,
anyway,
like
sorry for all these random asides and spoilers.
I guess Waverly and oh my god, I'm blanking on Haught's first name.
Nicole.
Could you just know her as Hot?
Yeah, and I can't call them WayHaught all the time.
The Wynonna and Nicole ship
is brilliant. It's brilliant.
Why not?
And you know what? I saw that in season 4. So like, okay, more things of like, hey, fandom, like, I'm going to throw you a scene. I'm going to throw you a scene. Definitely season 4 had why not moments, because anytime that those two are together, that's a why not moment.
Well, it was there. That was odd, because like every scene was just like, you're my best friend.
I know.
And I was like, okay.
Well, I guess at some point she has to be like, yeah, this is going to be my sister-in-law, so let's be friends. And you know what? Maybe Nicole and Waverly were like showing her Xena. Like, you don't know that. They could be sitting in the homestead watching TV, and they're like, let's put on Xena for Wynonna to learn. And that's why she makes these references now.
So Wynonna got very into
and she's been
getting
shown
a Xena
Carol.
reboot.
She's been shown Carol as well, and she likes it.
Okay. I'm glad you've explained this.
Otherwise, it makes no sense.
I random aside thought of another Xena. Well, they have that episode that's kind of like When Fates Collide.
Which one?
Like, Wynonna doesn't exist or something, and then nobody knows each other.
Oh, yeah.
And then Nicole and Waverly immediately fall in love with each other, just like Xena and Gabs do.
Right. I think Waverly is like engaged to a man at the beginning of it. Yeah.
Well, there's that Buffy one where everybody acts like a teenager.
Yeah. Yeah. That also happened.
There's just so many.
There were so many.
Remember when we were like, Mercedes is named after the actress Mercedes McNabb on Buffy,
why?
who played Harmony.
Just
because
she's basically playing Harmony.
Yeah, exactly.
That's her role in the plot.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I hope that's true.
I hope so too. Yeah, I do think that like the big sex scene. I do think that that's like an important sex scene to have, because it's like that kind of stuff. Like we talked about, like Outlander has those kinds of scenes, but like you don't see like queer like love scenes like that, and so it was important for it to be there.
But I
Okay.
also liked that the show ends with their marriage, that you feel like that's kind of the final thing that needed to happen to
Right.
kind of put a bow on this representation.
Though the mailbox thing was a little strange, like, because it's like if you read it back, like if you read it normally, it's like backwards than how they actually mean it to be. So it's a little odd.
The final shot
Yeah.
with the panning
Yeah,
over the
yeah.
mailbox.
Oh, the final shot of Wynonna Earp is like a don't dead open inside
Yeah,
moment.
exactly.
Okay. Yeah, they pan, down some signs, up some signs. So
Yeah.
it reads weird. Yeah. But it's sweet and the sentiment is nice.
Yes.
Nonetheless, it's just everyone is welcome. Yay.
Do you guys want to quickly discuss like favorite parts for your personally?
I already talked about mine. Well,
Oh,
not
I'm
really.
sorry. I tabled it or like pin it, I guess, for
Okay.
2 seconds. But like I was saying that thing about how they because she's like aware. Emily is aware of the fandom. Like she puts stuff in for the fandom. So why not has like scenes and that's like. Yay, they're happy. And then also like what is the sisters?
It's just called Earpcist.
Oops, yeah. So,
Pretty
they
sure.
had Gooverly for that, so there was like
There
that
was
kiss.
Gooverly.
So
You're right.
they were happy.
You're right.
There's just everybody gets a little something, something. So and of course, whenever Doc is kind of like shipped with a male character, that's a thing for those fans if they so choose. So that happens. I saw it a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so favorite things personally
Just
for you
like,
guys.
favorite things. I don't know if I have like favorite like moments. I just like stuff. Like I love Wynonna and Doc. I like whenever they fight and kiss.
That's a good answer.
Because it's hot.
Yeah,
It's like
he's really great.
he's fantastic, and it's a great performance because he's very different IRL.
Yeah,
than Doc.
I don't like. So he was
Like,
on
his voice
Schitt's
was
Creek.
different.
No,
He's got no mustache.
I hated him
It's
on
like,
Schitt's Creek.
whoa, who are you?
Yeah, nope.
It's fantastic performance. And like I love like the central relationship. I like sister stories. So and I love. I don't know. It's hard to like explain, like because I'm just sort of because the show's so wacky.
Yeah.
Like in my head, I don't have like favorite episodes or things. Just the way that I watch the show as well. So the stuff that just sticks out to me is just like the big dramatic moments, like between my like babes. And I love a lot of stuff that they did with Waverly. She kind of like starts as like the baby Gabs doing research and things, and has like her own kind of bigger journey, and it gets really crazy. And I do think that they ran out of time with it towards the end with season 4 and like not having season 5.
Wouldn't you call her more like a baby Willow,
Baby
who then
Willow.
has the Dark Willow plot?
Yeah, both
literally?
of them, baby
Yeah.
Gabs, but they're the side one.
Yeah.
They're all that she is that character.
Well, she's always jealous of Wynonna because she wants to be the heir, and the gun won't work for her.
but then she gets her own special stuff
Special
later.
Her inheritance.
And I just think she's really fun. Like Dom is really fun.
I remember really having fun with, I think it might be the first episode of season 3 when the show first introduces the vampires as these like kind of like raver people coming to town, and they're super annoying. And I felt like that was just such a funny wink to Buffy that the vampires of Wynonna Earp are like obnoxious and everybody hates them. I thought that was just a very, a funny way of the show kind of reckoning with its own influence. I didn't so much like when the vampires became like a thing. Yeah. I like just that one-off appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they were strange because they could just like they were basically normal.
Yeah,
and
they
they
were
just
like-
needed some blood once in a while.
Yeah, they were like the cool kids in high school. You hated them, but also wanted to impress them. I liked that that's how Wynonna like decided to deal with them.
Well, like,
first.
but even like when Doc became a vampire,
Right.
Like it was you forgot that he was a vampire because it was just there was no
didn't
drama.
affect his life at all.
Really, yeah.
It was very strange. I think that was one of the plot missteps of the show because I was just like, why?
Well, at the same time, it's like you don't want him to constantly like not be able to go outside when it's like daytime. That's annoying.
Yeah.
So,
but then maybe just don't make him a vampire at all if it doesn't affect his character in any.
Well, I actually
significant
liked
way.
it because it was consistent with his character, right? So he
wanted to live
he
forever.
wanted to he didn't want he was afraid of mortality, and like that was a really big deal when he first sort of became mortal, and then like I mean it's a big deal every time he becomes weird,
Every time.
because they like let it happen. So it was consistent with his character. I thought that was really cool. Remember how he's a dentist?
Yes, that was a funny. I always forget that Doc is not just like a nickname.
Nope. Yeah, it's so weird when you think about it. It's also really weird when you think about that Wyatt Earp. I'm a fave. No, I'm just kidding. Then he like lived, like he died in 1929, which is like insane when you think about it. Because like he would go to, he went to the movies.
Yeah,
maybe.
I feel like he's actually almost
He went to the movies.
He's famous because he was like friends with lots of movie stars and like
That's crazy.
was a consultant for Western.
You think of him as like a guy from the 1800s, and like the 1929 is like
It is
more modern.
odd, the crossover area.
It's so
Like
weird.
we are the
Yeah.
we did that.
Yeah.
We were from the later
no.
part of the day.
Oh my God! What? Oh my
You know
God!
what I
You're
mean?
right.
Like the
yes.
90s
Yes.
into the it's weird to think about people crossed over from the 1800s to the 1900s.
It's just insanely different. Like insanely
It is.
different.
If you were like 10 in
You didn't have an iPhone.
1890, you could be like 70 in 1950.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
You'd be like, cars? Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, like, and also like probably like maybe you didn't have like plumbing and stuff. So like that's crazy.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, and definitely
Anyway,
the TV's changed.
I again, like, to your point, I felt very silly when in season 4 there was Wyatt.
Yeah, like a
on
movie. And you're like, what?
Wow,
And I
could
was
that
like,
be?
oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nuts. I really loved season 1, and I really loved, and I mean, it's still my favorite thing, and of course, Wynonna Earp.
I remembered a specific. Not
Yes?
to cut you off because I didn't really have any specifics, but remember when Doc left Wynonna that I'm all in note?
Yeah.
That was really cute.
Yep.
And then I really liked the very end of the show, but I
Yeah.
won't say what it was. Okay, go ahead.
The very end. Why not? Like, I don't
Why
mean that.
not?
I don't mean it that way. Why don't you want to say what your moment from the end?
Oh, I mean, I don't want to give lots. We've already spoiled some.
It reminded me of the
I
end
wanna
of
say, like,
Amelie.
the very, very end.
Do you remember
of
the
the
end
show.
of Amelie when they're like on the?
Oh,
Okay, just.
I'm just gonna say it.
running off on the
Amelie
motorcycle,
ends
yeah.
with them being on
Yeah.
a motorcycle together.
I think it's okay
Little
to say
moped.
motorcycle
Well,
scene.
it's like you
good.
didn't know if they were going to end up trying, being together, like where the show
I did
ends.
because
I don't
it's
know.
a show.
Well, Buffy didn't end up with any of her vampire friends, so
What?
Buffy didn't end up with any of her
Vampire
butt
friends.
I
friends.
see. Okay.
like she ended up on her own.
yeah, she needed
Well,
that though.
and
I
they're
don't
very
know.
volatile. So,
I mean, Buffy ended, and I don't count the comic, but like she was just standing there. You don't know what her next scene is going to be in
you have
life.
to read season 8.
No, you
comic
don't.
book.
I've no.
Anyway,
Yeah, Wynonna Earp. Let me just talk about it.
okay.
So I fucking love when it's like, she's presumed dead, and the episode where, like Wynonna is in a cult and she's friendly with some lady there. And then, oh my God, that woman picks up the fucking peacemaker and shoots a revenant. And what?
I love the kind of sneak attack that
That
you don't
was
realize
shocking.
this is going to be connected to the family plot, and then suddenly it is in like
Yes.
the most like dramatic way.
That was so fantastic. And guess what? It gets even better when Peacemaker is like, I don't want to be in your hand, Wynonna. I want to be only in the heir's hand, the true
Peacemaker
heir's hand.
is like her chakram.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Just I'm
It's
doing.
Peacemaker is like Mr. Pointy.
Right.
Snakes.
Exactly. Everybody's got a weapon.
Yeah. So anyway, Willa.
Yeah.
So Willa is really cool, and I was like really, really obsessed with the dynamic because she had a really weird relationship with Waverly, and it just like immediately when you added that like sister into the mix, and plus her history and everything like that, and how she's like the true heir. I was like obsessed with it, and I was extremely upset that that was it in season 1. That's it.
Yeah.
And she was like, not great, and like, the other part of this is that I really loved Bobo Del Rey.
Bobo,
I think, is the best
Rey.
villain
Bobo
of the
was
show.
fun.
That actor is so good.
Michael Eklund.
Yeah, he's amazing in an episode of Fringe in season 3. And he's, I think, one of those actors that's like, I don't know if he's method, but he's like insanely into the character.
The physical performances.
Like everything. Like he had like a crazy makeover, and honestly his clothing were like the only true good clothing of the whole show.
That coat. I forgot about that.
He looked amazing.
Coat.
He had like
Doc's
a whole
clothes.
thing. I mean, yeah, Doc looks
Doc
great.
has a good
Doc
silhouette.
looks like he could make a really good mixology drink. I'll take it from him.
Yes, he does.
Yes. So yeah, I really liked the whole thing with Boba, and I kind of liked, you know, the reveal of him and Willa.
Yeah.
That made sense. It was creepy in a good way. And also how he was like Waverly's imaginary friend, Bobo.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff was so good.
Really crossed the
Yeah,
boundaries.
and how he technically started off, you know, with Wyatt and Doc.
Right.
And he was kind of like, you know, Spike, like a schmo, and then he became like
That's
formidable.
a really good point. I hadn't seen that, but you're 100% right.
Yeah.
He's in many ways the Spike.
Yeah,
of the
and he was
show.
so good.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I really love that stuff. That really stuck with me.
I admit that season 1 has always been my favorite because I thought that arc with Willa particularly, you know, just sort of seeing what it does to Wynonna's character. Because, like, Buffy and Xena don't have something like that where they're, you know, wrestling with their responsibility. And, you know, especially for Buffy, you know, she's the chosen one. And even when, you know, Faith shows up, she's still the chosen one.
Yeah.
Whereas when Willa shows up, what it actually means is that Wynonna doesn't have that burden anymore.
Right,
So I
and
feel like
it's
that was
really
cool.
It's that episode of like Angel, right? When Angel becomes mortal, and at first it's like yay, and then it's like oh no, he misses kind of like being like the
he
the
doesn't
hero.
have a television show anymore.
He
you
needs
know?
to do that.
He needs to have his problem.
Yeah. So it's I think a lot of shows can have this for their character who's like constantly like, oh, I'm the chosen one, and then it's like it's taken away from them. And they're like, oh, but what am I without this? You know, and so it was really cool.
It was really interesting.
Yeah,
I am a little disappointed that Willa never came back. I wanted
I know
justice for Willa,
serious justice,
especially
for Willa.
because you know she is their sister. So I do feel like her memory is important to kind of what comes later.
Yeah, and the true like Earp like dynamic is all the like the family stuff. So I needed that. I needed more of that.
I did also really enjoy the reckoning with Wyatt Earp's past that happened, especially in season 4. You know, kind of showing that he was not the greatest guy. You know, just kind of exploding the white men of the West. Oh yeah, so great. We should definitely be looking up to them.
I was bummed out about it because, as you know, I ship Doc and Wyatt.
Well, he can still ship it.
But he watched that movie and he was like, he was a jerk. Like, that's sad.
Time to move on.
To his great-great-granddaughter. Yeah, so really fun main characters, really fun side characters. I said I love Nedley. I wish that more of his I thought I was a little disappointed about his daughter. He constantly talked about his daughter. But his daughter was
she
weird.
showed up and she wasn't that much fun.
Not that I would say the resolution of this was good, but I did enjoy that since they got rid of the curse or whatever, they brought back the Claytons in season 4, because it again connects everything back to
it's like full circle
to the OK Corral and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So that was an interesting exploration of like, again, people who have like destinies and like their own sort of like family curse, which was interesting.
Yeah, the show had a lot of ideas.
A lot of ideas. Execution maybe not so great, but like, you know, you see the effort there. good effort.
but always very entertaining.
Yeah, always extremely entertaining, extremely fun, extremely funny. And the cast is fantastic, and they always like, you know, have a great time at all the cons and things.
I just remembered Wynonna doing that like slow-mo, what was it? It was like a bull ride thing or something iconic from that season 1, right? Mm-hmm. That was good. I'm sorry, I just only remember like hot things. Not hot.
Not hot.
Like, hot parts.
I liked when Nicole had her like hair back in that little French braid, like a original
early days.
Yeah, I feel like we just
hair was
really want
longer
season
then.
1. Yeah.
Season 1, yeah. Yeah, it's like, watch it all though, because it is really fun.
Yeah.
I just start getting confused when they start talking about like the Cluties and Bolshar.
Oh my
I just don't know
God.
what's happening. And then there's angels and demons.
That was
also on
insane.
Xena.
Yeah. I mean, they do deal with the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
And how Bolshar was like the snake.
Yeah.
And then for some reason he had like 3 wives.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, it's a little...
Yeah. It was unexpected.
hard.
I feel like I didn't expect the show to go there. I think many people...
Well, I think, isn't there some sort of weird reaction to like
religion.
Supernatural, right? Because
Probably.
Supernatural
Well,
went
that makes
there.
sense.
Like,
So-
yeah, we should mention Supernatural. I feel like this is like...
It's in the DNA
in
for
the-
sure.
Yeah. In the vein of Supernatural.
But, like,
weird westerns.
The wonderful
Yeah.
antithesis, which is like ladies.
Yes, women. Like,
Sisters.
And
Instead of brothers.
canon
not so much
things.
misogyny.
Yes. Canon things versus
Canada.
weird
Yes.
things. Canada?
Did you say Canada?
I said canon.
Oh, canon.
Yeah.
I thought you said
Canon things
Canada.
versus like not quite.
Oh,
I don't
well.
know what happened at the end there with some deleted scenes or whatever. In
Oh, with
Supernatural.
Castiel? Oh,
Yeah.
no, we can't. No.
Yeah, don't go down that rabbit hole,
No,
guys.
it is
Stay away.
wild and crazy time.
There's like 14 seasons in that, right?
What?
Or is it 20? What is the amount of Supernatural
30,
that exists?
40,
And there's
18? No, that's
No.
Grey's Anatomy. 15?
15 sounds right to me.
Wow. And some sort of new Supernatural world show coming at you.
Which is even more
Yeah,
fun
again,
drama.
don't even. It's not our place.
It's not our place. We really don't go there. Well, I don't.
No.
All right. Any final thoughts about Wynonna Earp? The show?
This show is absolutely in our wheelhouse. I think it's in everybody's wheelhouse that watches Xena.
Or Buffy.
Really, or Buffy. I think it does, it has much more debt to Buffy.
Oh, yeah.
Than it does Xena. But I think just by being the genre it is and doing the plots that it does and the relationships that it has, it absolutely owes Xena some debt as well. And of course I love every little Xena shout out, even when they don't make sense, because I like when people mention Xena.
I think I made it make sense to me in my head.
Yeah, I appreciate you talking us through it. Now I'm imagining movie nights.
Nicole's like, all
Homestead.
right, put on the first episode of Xena. Okay, episode 1, episode 3, and then episode 20.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that are good.
Yeah. And if you haven't seen it, it's got multiple queer relationships and characters. It's got
Basically, everyone's queer, I think, for the most part.
Yeah. And it has a huge online presence, so I'm sure that the fanfic and fan output and vids
it's
and
strong.
stuff are fantastic.
huge,
So that will be fun for you if you get into the fandom. Come to us. We have some vid recs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Watch it. It's so fun.
And I thought it had a good ending.
Yeah.
I felt very satisfied.
Yeah.
which is, a miracle considering all the show's problems.
Oh my God.
They didn't know it was going to be their last episode when they shot it, so I definitely appreciate
But I think they did.
maybe on a,
The way
reality
How do you-
level.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
if you
they didn't have an official,
right
no at that point.
But
It was an unofficial finale.
yeah,
that
I mean,
became
I just think
official.
I know that they I've heard them say that they because they never know when they're coming back because it's a small little show that could. If every season was going to be the last season, but they were this felt different. You watch the videos of them on their rap takes, and it's they're they're a mess. They I think knew. But I feel like this is the kind of show that could have some kind of random movie someday.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure.
Would watch.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Just knocking over all the equipment.
I like that you brought out your
I did.
Wynonna
I
Earp
have a
mug.
Wynonna. So I did. I have a Wynonna Earp mug. It says "Baby Girl is the team" on it.
Oh, I
And
see. You have a good
Waverly-
Sissier.
Yes,
mug.
it was given to me by my former coworkers, and I love it. Yes. Oh, we didn't really talk about. I thought it was fun that Mel directed episodes.
And one more thought that I had was that this show is super important to not only the fans who watch it, but also some of the cast who had, some awakenings of personal self and whatnot, and that's really, really fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
It literally changed people's lives.
Absolutely.
Off the
And-
camera and in front of the camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
I was saying Melanie was directing stuff.
She did,
Yeah.
yes.
But that reminded me of how she's directing another sci-fi show that Tim is also in. I think she's going to be in it, but I don't know if she's in it, but she's directing it. So they're all working in Canada together, not all of them, but some of them. So it's another sci-fi show called Surreal Estate. It's about haunted house.
Oh my
stuff.
God. That's cute.
It sounds fun.
I'm glad she's directing more. That's really
yeah,
good.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, good for her.
Yeah.
We were really happy to see her credit on Wynonna.
Yeah, she's so cool. All right, anyway, Wynonna Earp. We did it. You guys can watch it. It's on Netflix. Where else is it on? Probably a lot of other things.
Netflix, and then season 4, you're probably gonna have to wait for it to be on Netflix because it's only gonna be 5 episodes on Syfy because of how deals are.
So-
Rolling 5. It'll either be the first 5 or the back, or the first or the last bunch. It's very weird.
Well, you guys have to get it from somewhere else. Wink,
Yeah.
wink.
If you're in the United States.
Follow us on all the stuff and things. And
Yeah.
thank you for...
Thank you for this topic.
Thank you,
super fun.
Anna.
And we're on Twitter at XenaWarriorPod. We're on all the social medias, Xena Warrior Podcast. We can be listened to on things like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We can subscribe, rate, leave reviews, which we love to read. Our Patreon is patreon.com/Xena Warrior Podcast, where you can listen to our Lucy Lawless IMDb experience, of which we're all close to catching up. I feel like we're basically at My Life as Murder and some movies, and, So if you would like to listen to us talk about all of Lucy Lawless's career, you can go find that for patrons. And that's the stuff.
The Bar!
The Passion.
The podcast!